Hi, it's Amy, and I'm here once again with the Journal of Emily Shore, originally published in 1891, and it is the diary of a teenage girl in the 1830s. We are 74 pages into the journal, and we have reached her 14th year in the year 1834. And she's about to have a bit of a change in her life. She's going to be taking up French and dancing. So here we are on April 22nd, Tuesday. I shall for the future be able to write very little in my journal because my time is so much taken up with French and dancing. As for the nightingales, I have been on the lookout for them ever since I came here. I heard a few notes at noon on the 20th, and I was kept awake half the night by them to my exceeding joy. The night was perfectly still and serene, and the moon shining brightly, and the song of the nightingale sounded most exquisite. It seemed to come from the bushes near the river. May 6th, Tuesday. Miss Hussey related a very curious story of some fowls which she knows to be perfectly true. A turkey cock, a common cock, and a pheasant were kept in the same farmyard. At length, the turkey was sent away to another farm. After his departure, the cock and pheasant had a quarrel. The cock beat, and the pheasant disappeared. In a few days, he returned accompanied by the turkey. The two allies fell together on the cock and killed him. May 27th, Tuesday. I have hardly time now either to observe the birds or to enter in my journal my observations on them. I, however, attend as much to natural history as I can. I have found here a plant I never saw before, the Campanula hybrida, a small and very pretty flower, like the Venus's looking glass. It grows in cornfields. It does not usually flower till August, and I have found a very small sort of Gromwell, a white flower. June 3rd, Tuesday. Miss Caroline sang to us a song called The Lark. The music and singing were exceedingly pretty. The song itself I do not much like. Woodbury, June 23rd. I have seen the titlark for the first time. Several were singing yesterday evening on the heath. They rise into the air, whether from a tree or the ground I cannot say, describe a semicircle in the air, and descend, singing all the time. Their song is not nearly equal either to that of the skylark or tree lark. It consists chiefly of a loud tit, 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 tit. There was a tea party at the Astles. Mamma, the gentleman, and all of us went, so that the Clutterbucks, Parisins, and some others, we were 25 in number. We drank tea out of doors while the gentlemen of the party were engaged at cricket. Then followed archery and les Graces, during which I contrived to keep close to Miss Caroline and had a great deal of merry conversation with her, of which the following is a sample. Emily, I have a question to ask you. At balls and such places, what do people talk about, if they talk about neither sciences nor natural history? I shall set them down as thoroughly stupid. Miss Carr, stupid? Oh dear me. Let me see, they talk about neither sciences nor natural history. Emily, stupid people. What do they talk about? Miss Carr, about, music. Emily, music. Miss Carr, yes, music. Emily, well, music's allowable, very proper. What else? Miss Carr, yes, they talk about music and how hot the last party was and which they shall go to next, and they talk scandal and on the works of the day. Emily, dear me, what foolish people to talk about such absurd things. And do you really like to go to such places, Miss Caroline? Do you actually like it? Miss Carr, yes, very much indeed. Em, like it? How horrid. How can you like it? What a great waste of your time, when you ought to be learning and improving your mind, to go to balls and talk nothing but nonsense. Where is the pleasure of it? Do you not think it a waste of time? Miss Carr, yes, I confess it is. It is a corrupt habit, but when once you have got it, you can never get rid of it. M. This is horrible to think of. I hope I shall never get it. But if amusement is your object, why don't you study natural history? There's no amusement so great as that. Miss Carr, but I confess that I don't like natural history. M. Oh, how very wrong. You ought to like it. Miss Carr, but nobody taught me. When I was a child, no one took pains with me. M. Very true. Then it is not so much your fault, but now may I ask you a question, Miss Caroline? When you once begin in the season to go to parties, at what rate do you go? How many a week? Miss Carr. Oh, why, sometimes to 3 in a night. 3 in a night? What a waste of life. June 24th, Tuesday. The Cairn plant grows in Whitewood. We constantly smelt it, but have not hitherto looked for it. It is so difficult to find. However, this evening Mackworth brought it home in triumph. It is a species of fungus. The plant has a singular appearance, but the remarkable part is its odious smell, from which it gains its name. It is generally said to resemble carron, but Papa thinks it is more like bad cheese, whatever it is like. It presently filled the whole house, and it was scarcely possible to go where it had been. We stowed it for the night in the garden. From June 29th to the beginning of August I was ill, a fever or recovering from it, and I can therefore put nothing in my journal during that time, except from a few notes which Mamma took for me. August 7th, Thursday. One of my chief amusements while recovering from this fever has been to make a series of paintings, one for every month of the year, which represents a bird that sings at that month, in the center of a wreath of flowers in blow in the same month. The flowers are from nature, the birds from Bewick and from Moody's. Birds, a book which I have just bought. I have finished 2 wreaths, one for June, which consists of a goldfinch and a wreath of wild pink agrimony, milkwort, bryony, wild rose, forget-me-not, and common ling. The other for July has a green finch with harebells, red pimpernel, bog pimpernel, large blue geranium, heart's ease, rest harrow, and daughter. All the flowers are wild. I have begun a wreath for August, which will have a woodlark in the center. August 8, Friday. I gathered several beautiful flowers, rest harrow, sakuri, mullein, and the purple-spiked willow herb, which is a most beautiful plant. It grows by water and has tall spikes of purple flowers. It is no willow herb in reality, but a lithorum, and belongs to the class of Dodecandria. I observed that sakuri and rest harrow are always found together. They grow by roadsides in a dry, open soil. August 11th, Monday. We made another little expedition to the Phaeton, but this was much farther than to Bedford. In the Phaeton, rather, but this was much farther than to Bedford. It was to Ely to see its fine cathedral. The day was intensely hot. We set off at 8:30 and reached Cambridge at 12:30. We left Cambridge, I think, at 5:30 and reached Ely at 8. The road thither is, though perfectly flat, uninteresting country, being in fact through the fens. The cathedral was in full view for many miles. When we arrived, we put up at the Lamb Inn, which was close to the cathedral, and after we had had tea, we walked forth to view this magnificent building by moonlight. I have never before seen any cathedral. The largest churches I have seen are those of Stamford and Bury St. Edmunds, and therefore the impression made by me by Ely was very great. The west front is quite open, and this was what we saw this evening. The size of the edifice and the height of the western tower appeared to me immense, and the richness of the decorations exceeded everything I had ever seen or could conceive. I cannot conceive anything more imposing than a vast Gothic cathedral. I think our old English architecture has an infinitely nobler effect than the Grecian and Roman styles which are now so prevalent, and which are suited neither to our climate nor to our manner of living. August 12th, Tuesday. I rose before 5 and was employed till breakfast in sketching the west tower of the cathedral from my bedroom window. After breakfast we sallied forth. The west front consists of a great tower, originally flanked on both sides by what are called the northwest and southwest transepts, each terminating in 2 round towers, the whole in the Norman style and as rich as possible. If this had remained as it was originally, it would have been perhaps the finest front in the world, but unfortunately the northwest transept has fallen down. An incongruous addition has been made to the great tower, and the Norman porch has been replaced by an early English one, which, though exquisitely beautiful in itself, is out of place in a Norman front. The porch is 40 feet long, the gateway is loaded with the richest ornaments, and the whole is as splendid as can be imagined. But I think the most imposing part of the cathedral is the view of the noble nave from the entrance. This nave, except the window of the aisles, is entirely Norman of late character and consequently much lighter than is usual in that style. The transepts are Norman, of much earlier date and much more massive and heavy. The most beautiful part of the interior of the church is perhaps the decorated English lantern in the centre, which is of the most surpassing richness and elegance. 3 arches of the choir are also decorated English, with the triforium and clerestory windows above them. The rest is a splendid specimen of early English. The east window in particular is perhaps unrivaled. The choir is much injured by a perpendicular wainscoting all round, which forms a partition between it and the side aisles, and I think the screen and organ loft ought to be taken down to give the whole effect of the vast interior of the cathedral. The side aisles of the choir are filled with monuments, some of decorated character and therefore very ancient, but the greater part are perpendicular. They are terminated each by a chapel. That of the north aisle is Bishop Alcock's, that of the south Bishop West's. Both of these are splendid specimens of perpendicular, and are loaded to profusion with the most gorgeous decorations, but are, unfortunately, much dilapidated. We then went in the Lady Chapel, now Trinity Church, an exceedingly rich specimen of the decorated style, but in a dilapidated state, and injured also by the vile coats of paint with which it is quite covered. Lastly, we left the cathedral by the south transept and wandered for some time amongst the curious old ruins on this side of it. And we will leave it at that for today, but I will be back tomorrow with the entry for September 3rd, 1834.